Yo. Shit. All right, hold on. Make sure I see this. But, all right, y'all. A little different. Now. We're going to do some different stuff this year. So 60 for 60 is back. Kind of less flashy. But we doing our thing, man. We're doing our thing. So look, Mike is not going to be here. He got a little situation going on with his family, so it's just going to be me. So check it out. We're going to switch up the way that we've done the show. In the past, we've done a lot more of the technical side of football and things like that, which was really cool. I think it served its purpose. We're still going to do the rankings, which honestly, I probably need to drop them tonight. Not quite feeling in the mood because of what happened with the Falcons. What up, Armani? Good to see you healthy again, bro. I'm not really feeling. I wasn't really feeling in the mood to do rankings and stuff with the whole situation with the Falcons, which we could probably get into in a little bit. But I might be a week or two behind on that. It really depends. Not really gonna get into that. There's lots of new teams. The merger of the TFL and the IFA officially creates a new league. You got a lot of the teams that left the TFL that went to the Den. You got teams that were in the Den that folded. We had the loss of a coach. And we'll kind of spend some time to kind of give him his piece. Lots of stuff that has happened, lots of things to talk about. So since there's no Mike tonight, I'm gonna need all you guys to kind of chip in. If you want to join, just let me know. I can get you on the show. But gonna kind of keep it quick, keep it simple tonight. So like I was saying, we're gonna get away from like the technical side of football, and we're just gonna hang out going forward. You know what I'm saying? We're just gonna chop it up and chill. I'm gonna try to do more like in-person stuff where it's less of the camera to camera and actually get Mike in the room with me. So that's gonna be really cool to have Mike in the crib. I got some liquor, so we're gonna be chilling and just chopping it up going forward. So tonight, unfortunately, Mike is out with his kids, so it's just me. So I'm gonna tell you what, the first thing that comes to my mind, top of mind, is this whole situation that happened with Cam Newton, which is crazy. I wanted to chop it up, wanted to talk about that. I just want to make sure that my comment section is going so I can see y'all talking. Yo, Cam Newton yoking old boy up and dragging him all across the stairs was crazy. It was crazy. Because first of all, who the fuck you thought you was? Stepping up to Cam Newton, that boy like 6'5", like 250. 6'5", 250. What's wrong with you? But I saw the Cam Newton podcast. I think it's 4th and 1. And he was kind of explaining himself, like he said, we two grown men, we both cross each other's paths as far as coaching the youths. I guess my man's was a bona fide hater and he had something to say and it finally got under Cam's skin. But for me, we have a lot of conversations, especially on this show, about dudes getting in their feelings on the field, blah, blah, blah. Next thing you know, niggas is fighting, punching refs. Shit gets crazy and niggas is threatening to end semi-pro, basically. Like, it's the constant threat of semi-pro being over. No more refs, no more fields. And the crazy shit is that this happens and it doesn't really matter what level you at. Cam Newton is a NFL MVP, a national champion on a junior college level, a national champion on a Division I level, played in the NFL for multiple years, been to a Super Bowl. This dude is like This dude is the real deal as far as you can go in this sport. And even he gets into the hand-to-hand shit from time to time. And I think that it's just kind of crazy that it had to be, first of all, Cam Newton, who was a black quarterback who is kind of, when you talk about black quarterbacks and you talk about the excellence of black quarterbacks, you got to talk about Cam Newton, Michael Vick, Russell Wilson, Warren Moon. You got to talk about certain figures, and it sucks that it had to be him because a lot of people have basically come out and be like, look, see. But in my opinion, Cam is wrong, right? He apologized and he said what he said. He's wrong for doing what he did, but at the end of the day, the whole situation is wrong, and that shit is wrong from both sides. You can't walk up to a man and say whatever you say and spit on a dude and take it to that level and not expect a man to put his hands on you. At the same time, it's hard to be a public figure. In my opinion, Cam Newton is a Hall of Fame candidate. I think at this point, with everything that's going on in his career, the way he dressed, the things that he say, I think that the committee will probably try to keep him out for as long as possible, and that sucks. But I don't know. I just thought it was really crazy that we live in a world now where you can't really do anything without it making it all over the place. I mean, I don't think there's a person that follows any kind of football. Matter of fact, you don't even got to follow football. This Cam Newton video has been posted on every social media outlet that I've possibly seen. Nah, it's not a turtleneck, my nigga. Stop. It's not. It's a jumpsuit. What else, Skip? Nah, never that. But yeah, it's just kind of crazy because NFL do millions of dollars trying to give back to the kids, and niggas can't let them live. Next thing you know, his mug is all over the place of him dragging dude around, and now niggas is talking about he not Hall of Fame quality. He don't belong back in the NFL. I still don't think there's 32 better quarterbacks than Cam Newton. You might say that he's not the greatest, but there's some quarterbacks on some NFL rosters right now that do not belong there. So kind of crazy. But that's my take on the whole Cam Newton situation. I just wish he would have powerbombed dude. Like, he was trying to be all cordial about it and yanked them all up. I wish he would have just slammed my dude on his neck, at least get his money's worth. But yeah. All right. So I was talking to Mike earlier about the Saquon Barkley trade. So I've been wearing 26 for a little bit. There's a couple of reasons why I wear 26. But the reason that I changed, I used to wear number 10, which was the number that I had from high school. My grandma passed a few years ago, and I was spending every day with her while she was, basically fighting for her life. And, there was a point in time where we thought that she was coming back, and I had made a promise to her that I was going to change my number for her, and I was going to dedicate my season to her. So I changed it to 26. And Saquon is a part of that. So I was really excited to know that Saquon was getting out of New York. I was super excited. I thought that was dope. But Philly is not one of the places that I thought he was going to end up, because I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't feel like that offense really fits Saquon. I think they're going to have to completely revamp the offense in order to get his skill set into the offense, which I don't think it's not a bad thing. I just don't see how the fit really works. I think Mike had mentioned that early in the Giants, acquisition of Saquon, when they had Odell Beckham. Patterson said he fits. Back when they had Odell Beckham, Mike said that, and he's right, they used to do some really creative things. They used to have Saquon throwing the ball. They used to motion Odell. They used to do a lot of different things in the screen game, especially with play action. And I just don't see that fit in Philly's offensive play style, but I can see where they can use him. But I think with the quarterback that they have and the way that they've played football for the last couple of years, I don't know. I don't really see it. I don't really see the super edge that it gives him. Patterson said Philly runs the football. They're one of the best O-lines in football. That's true, but you got to remember they lost their best offensive lineman and the leader on the O-line. You know what I'm saying? So now they got to not only replace the talent level, but they also have to replace the lack of leadership there now. And you could say that there's some other guys that have been vocal in the locker room, but I think when you have a figurehead, somebody who's such an A-type personality like Kelsey was, just the lack of his presence is something that they're going to have to work with. And doing that with a new running back, I don't know. Takes the pressure off of Jalen Hurts. Does it, though? Does it? Saquon is not going to run up the middle. He's not a power back. So, I mean, all right, so the two most dominant things about Saquon Barkley is his agility, his ability to stretch the field from the running back position, and his hands, right? He can catch the ball at the backfield. How does that relieve pressure on Jalen Hurts anyway? They lost one guy, the entire line played together. All right, that's true. I normally agree with you, Patterson, but my thing is that he wasn't just one guy. He wasn't just a guy. He was the guy on the O-line. And I don't know. I could be wrong, right? We are talking about professional football players, dudes that get paid millions of dollars to do this. And they also have professional football coaches, dudes who get paid lots of money to put it all together. So I could be wrong, but I think when you lose somebody who is a figurehead like that, it's a gap. It's like a void. It's almost like, all right, for instance, you have a group of friends and you always got that one friend who comes in a room and he's the life of the party, right? He makes everything hype. The dude just come in, he just as soon as he gets there, everybody's like, oh. And when that dude is no longer around, even when you have the party, like, yeah, we still having a party, but it's quiet now. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's what Kelsey was to that O-line, having him gone now, especially at the center position. Like, we know this. The center is the communicator. He's the quarterback of the O-line. So they have to replace that. So I'm interested to see if they can find a guy who can step in and kind of embrace what already exists, or if the entire dynamics of that O-line will change. We know, for one thing, we know that tush push is done. That 90% efficiency, 95% efficiency, that's done. So no more tush push. So will the Eagles be the same offense? Absolutely not. It can't be. Can't be the same offense. Can they adjust is, I think, what my concern is, like, especially with a new running back who has such a dominant skill set. You can't, like, it's been the Jalen Hurts show in the backfield. Yeah, I know they had Swift and they had a couple other running backs that could really get busy, but it's been the Jalen Hurts show. Now you got a guy who comes in, and in the backfield, you got to give him that. Yeah, the sneak play is done. It's done. And we saw it in the playoffs. It's done, especially now that the main guy who was a part of that is gone, the center. He's gone. That tush push is done. Barkley adds leadership. Okay, but it's going to take a while, right? Like, he's not walking into a team that needs Saquon Barkley. He's walking into a room full of NFL champions. He's walking into a room full of dominant football players, guys who have got it done. So, yeah, he's a leader, but the leadership that he had in the Giants locker room is not the leadership he's going to have in Philly. We know that. Because one dude, you don't understand what you're seeing. It was stopped once. Now it's over. Nah, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that the focal point of the tush push was Kelsey, right? His ability to communicate not just with the O-line, but also with his quarterback, secretly, without even saying anything. And Jalen Hurts knowing when to get behind Kelsey, when to go the opposite direction, all of that. I mean, there's a lot of secret things happening before the play, and they talk about it throughout their podcast. I do watch. He talks about how complicated it gets. You losing that. Will he probably hang around and still consult on the team's operations? Maybe, but maybe not. I don't know. I think that I think the offense that we've known in Philadelphia drastically changes now that Saquon is there. And I don't have the faith that they're going to put it together right away. Maybe in a year or two, but we know how football goes. In a year or two, that whole roster could be different. Everyone knows he was the only weapon on the Giants, and he still ate. Absolutely, absolutely. So my question is, and I think the bigger running back free agency trade, or not trade, but acquisition for me, it just didn't make sense to me, was the Ravens. The Ravens with Derrick Henry, that shit just doesn't sit right with me for some reason. I don't know why. What's good, Coach Matt? What's good? What's good? That's crazy. Pat, you out of control for that. You out of control. You said the Green Wave was better than the Giants? You're crazy. You're out of control. Somebody call Karim. Nah. Nah, I don't know. The Giants room right now has to be so sad. Like, the Giants gotta be so sad in that room right now. They probably looking around like, yo, what are they doing? How did they let this man leave? Saquon probably should have been the Carmelo Anthony of the Giants, bro. He should have spent almost all his career there, and then they should have. I guess from the Giants' perspective, they probably see it that way, right? Because we know how they value running backs, right? So they probably see it as Saquon is done. I don't see that. Watching him over the last 2 years, you can see he's getting better. You know, he's getting stronger. He's slimmed down. His game, he looks like he's matured before he probably should have. Like, he looks like he's playing at a different pace. He's not 100% on every play. Like, he's protecting himself. He's more aware. Overrated like Eli is crazy. Giants are bothering me. I'll check in on them when they know what they want their identity. That's why, I mean, hopefully they get it together, but like, and I feel like in the NFL, if it's April and you don't have your identity, you got a problem. You got a problem. If it's April and you don't have an identity in the NFL, you got a problem. You 2 years behind, bro. You 2 years behind. You should have had an identity last year. You know, especially if you're not one of those top 4 teams that's competing right now. You got to know what you're building towards, or you way behind the game. The Giants, like, I don't know. I feel like they in more than rebuild mode. They might be reaching that critical tank mode that the Browns was in for a few years. That's what it's starting to look like to me. But let's change the topic to Derrick Henry, because I feel like, why the fuck do you go get what's considered to be the best running back of football if you're going to get to the playoffs and not run the ball? Like, that don't make sense to me in any way possible. Derrick Henry is not on his way out. He's not injured. He's not getting worse. So I don't get it. Like, what was the thought process behind that? Who's my favorite? Who's your franchise QB? Oh, I think you talking to Matt, Pat, or you talking to me? After old man Tom. Giants building defense first. Why? Why? All right. So when they won the Super Bowls with Eli, the Giants D-line, in my opinion, I've always said this, it was the Giants D-line that won those Super Bowls. Eli Manning made great plays. I don't think he's a great quarterback. I think in college, Eli Manning was an amazing quarterback. I remember being a kid watching Ole Miss on TV, going, yo, who is this lanky white dude? He was fucking throwing rockets. I felt like when he got to the NFL, maybe he wasn't in a great situation, but he also just made like really like gutsy plays. Like, my man's just at times he just seemed like he was lost. But playoff Eli is a different dude. I will give it that. Giants defense definitely deserved them MVPs for sure. Eli doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. Oh, he has to go in the Hall of Fame. I wasn't the only one watching Ole Miss football, dude. Ole Miss was the shit back in like the late 2000s. Was it the late two? It got to be, right? It's got to be mid 2000s, mid to late 2000s. Look at the D-line and secondary. The honest truth is, I've been so busy, I haven't been able to keep track of all the free agency. So, like, I'm a Falcons fan. I know that we got Kirk Cousins. I don't know who else we got. That's all I know. I know Kirk Cousins and Bijan Robinson sounds like a great combination. It sounds like potential. I know the Jets, they potentially had the opportunity to kind of completely change their future. He's in the Jim Plunkett of his day. Yo, Pat, leave me alone, bro. But I don't know. The Derrick Henry situation to me is crazy because, well, like, Derrick Henry in Tennessee was the offense. He was the engine of the offense, right? He needed a quarterback. Cousins is going to rob y'all. Cousins is absolutely going to rob us because we have no fucking luck. We have no luck. After losing to the Patriots in the fucking Super Bowl, I don't believe in my franchise anymore. I feel like we are the fucking Dallas Cowboys 2.0 at this point. They spent all that money on that goddamn field. You know what it was? They knocked down the Georgia Dome. They should have never did that shit. If they had left the Georgia Dome there and just built something somewhere else, we would have been fucking fine. They knocked down the Georgia Dome. Yeah, they probably robbed us. They definitely robbed us. At the end of the day, we definitely needed a quarterback, though. We definitely needed a quarterback in Atlanta. But Atlanta needs so much. Atlanta needs defensive backs. We need an O-line. The O-line is not bad. I'm actually wrong. The O-line is actually pretty good. So maybe being able to throw the ball in a short and quick game will alleviate some pressure, and the O-line will actually look as good as they are. The curse of Mike Vick is crazy because that's a fact. Because I can't say that. We had those years. I mean, you could say the curse of Mike Vick, but then Eli Manning fucked us multiple times. Atlanta went 11-5 one year, and I think we had a 13-win season. I could be wrong. It might have been a 10-win season. I know we had an 11-win and a 10-win season, and fucking Giants first rounded us both times. We still need a QB. Shit, Atlanta needs a lot of things. We need a head coach. We need a new GM. We need a lot of things. Interesting, Aaron Donald retired. I just found that out. Didn't know Aaron Donald retired. I don't know. Thought it was triple B sprain. What up, Taz? What up, bro? So just so y'all know, I don't see all the comments all the time. You know what I'm saying? I don't always see every comment. So sometimes I guess it's the service that I use. Sometimes the comments get skipped. So my fault if I don't respond to you such and such. Yeah, Aaron Donald retiring is crazy, but I'm not convinced that Aaron Donald is fully retired. I don't know why. I don't know. I got this funny feeling like he's gonna come out of retirement. I almost feel like he retired not because he's done playing football. It's almost like he retired because he doesn't want to play anywhere else with LA. And if it's not that he doesn't want to play anywhere else, it's because they won't let him. There's no other way out of it other than retire. I don't know. I do know that so I'm one of those weird dudes that has an East Coast team and a West Coast team. And it's more so because my favorite team is the Falcons and niggas always fucking lose. So I had to vote for somebody. I had to root for somebody. So I've always liked St. Louis because of Marshall Faulk and the greatest show on turf. And then when they moved to LA, I didn't like the fact they moved to LA, but it made it even easier to be fans of them because they were so far away from the Falcons. So I watch a lot of the Rams games, and over the last 2 years, Aaron Donald's motor, to me, it hasn't decreased as far as like his ability. It just seemed like he got deflated. It almost seemed like you could watch, like if you go back to his years when when they was actually competing for Super Bowls, you could see like the nigga was firing off the ball, getting into it. And then over the last couple of years, you could just kind of see that there was times where like he just wasn't a part of the game. Who's going to make the most idiotic pick of the draft this year again? Honestly, I just have no faith in the Jets front office. I feel like they always somehow seem to fuck up every decision. They have the opportunity to be great every year, and they just choose the worst. Like, they are allergic to making great picks. They're allergic to great quarterbacks, and they have an affinity for picking up D linemen that do absolutely nothing. Does Aaron Rodgers have a chance of becoming vice president? Aaron Rodgers, to me, has a better chance of joining the Jets front office than doing anything positive in the backfield for the Jets. That's just my opinion. I can't see him. I can't see him coming from an Achilles injury at this point in his career with the team that he has doing anything other than running for his life for 17 games. Sorry, Jets fans. Y'all need to offload a lot of that ghost talent that you got on your roster. You need to go all in on a few players. You need to play low on numbers and try to win a couple games. The Bears going to keep Fields and trade the number 1 overall pick for more picks to build a team that's smart. That is smart. That is smart. But what the Bears need to do is they need to spend some money on some lobbyists and send them to Rodgers' front door and tell that man to start getting on the referees to throw flags, because Fields will not be around very long if he keeps taking hits after the whistle. They choose a QB who played at BYU. The biggest game Wilson's life was the Boca Raton. That's fucked up. Yo, the Boca Raton Bowl is better than any fucking game I ever played in. Shit. Yo, I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, some of the greatest players in football have played D2 ball. But they weren't quarterbacks. Damn, can anybody think of a quarterback that didn't play D1 that won a playoff game? Romeo or Marvin, first receiver taken. Who you taking? Yeah, I can't name one. I can't think of one high-profile quarterback that did not play Division I ball. If I had to pick a receiver, Zell, I'm picking Marvin Harrison all day. When I watch Marvin Harrison, the way he moves, he looks like he's moving in a different dimension. Like, he doesn't look like he belongs on this planet with us. The dude looks like he's been training all his life for one purpose. The last I remember was McNair. Steve McNair, yes. Yo, you know what's crazy? I don't know why. Like, I grew up playing Madden with Steve McNair and Eddie George, right? I did not know what happened to Steve McNair. I never knew what happened. I was watching some YouTube video that really broke it down. My man's really got off by a side chick. That's crazy. See what happened with Wentz. Bum from the 49. Does Jimmy count? Yo, tell me about Jimmy, because I don't know. I don't know where Garoppolo came from. I have no idea. Alcorn State? Jimmy counts? Does he count? He definitely counts, right? They've been to the playoff, but did they win a playoff game? Did Jimmy won, right? Am I bugging? I gotta be bugging, right? Because Jimmy was there when they went to the Super Bowl and lost to the Chiefs the first time. Yeah, definitely. Jimmy has to be the best example of that. He's got to be like the unicorn of the group. Oh, McNair went to Alcorn. Okay, where did Jimmy Garoppolo go? Yeah, Jimmy was there when they lost. I don't know. We gotta find out where Jimmy went to college. Steve McNair. If so, then Steve McNair has to take it because Alcorn State, like, who was they playing? And that had to be what, in the '90s. So he was there. True, 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 true. So you spent the better part of the first half of your quarterback career behind one of the most attention to detail head coaches in the NFL and behind arguably the greatest athlete of all time, but definitely greatest quarterback of all time. Does it really matter where you played before that? Because you're gonna learn everything you need to know real time, and it's just a matter of can you do it or not. All right, so here's my question. My question is, if I guess the way that I could phrase it is, if you make it to the NFL, does that truly mean you belong there? Because I think there's a level of football where yes, it's mental, but there's also a level of football that you have to physically be prepared for. And there's no way that you could make it all the way to making the 52-man roster, 56-man roster. I forget what the number is. Eastern Illinois. Nah, that don't count. That's a D1 school. You play in Western Michigan. I don't. Does it count? It probably should count, right? They play. I think they play West Michigan or Eastern Michigan. Damn, it just keeps getting worse. Don't talk about Tony Romo. Tony Romo to me is worse than the butt fumble because like Romo has some squads, bro. I just think Romo was butt. He had a couple like comeback victories where he showed flashes of greatness, but I thought Romo was butt. Yeah, I don't know. Good conversation though. Uh, so we're already at 30 minutes, so let's switch gears. The NFL is crazy right now. I'm pretty sure next week when we get back together, there's gonna be so many changes. Wait, hold on. Before we change gears, Mark Sanchez has more playoff wins than Romo and Dak. Mark Sanchez. Mark Sanchez was nice at USC. Swore that boy was gonna get to the league and light it up. But I will say, in the second half of his career, before he retired, he actually started to put it together. Right up until he retired, and he started. He had like I think he had like 2 or 3 like multi-pit games back to back, and I was like, yeah, never mind. Thought he was getting better. Two AFC appearances. He also so the last great Jets team with that defense with one of the greatest corners in history. Did they carry that man there? I'm pretty sure they carried him there. Where talent goes to die is crazy. Yeah, but I'm sure next week there's gonna be a lot more conversation because I don't know. I think by the time we get through the weekend, more crazy stuff will happen. It seems like there's just momentum. When one thing happens, another thing happens, and another. But I'm also going to look into a little bit more, or at least I'm going to try to look a little bit more into what's going on. Um, All right, but so I'm a little lost, fellas. I'm a little lost. I know the ECFL spring season is starting tomorrow, so good luck to everybody in the ECFL. I know the TFL IFA merged to become the Big East. I don't know. Pat, so you in here with us. I know that if I go to the IFA website, it's still up. You gonna keep the website going? Is the website gonna change? Is the name gonna change? Maybe you could answer that for us. Cause I didn't try too hard, but like I tried to find the Big East League and I couldn't. So maybe somebody can point me in the right direction. So I got a new job, bigger job, more responsibility. I really don't have any freaking time. I'm trying to get a designation for my job, so I went back to school. So I really don't have any time, and I'm trying to be pretty good at football. So I really definitely don't have any time between all the working out and training and everything else. Website will change. Perfect, beautiful. And am I right in saying the Big East League, or is there? Am I saying that wrong? Um, so I know the ECFL has I think like 6 new teams. I could be wrong. Uh, the Grizzlies, um, the Lions, uh, that fucking team. I think they're in Rhode Island. Big East football. Okay, Big East football. And by the way, Pat, thank you for saying Big East football. Thank you for that because I miss the Big East Conference and the NCAA. I truly do. I miss the Big East Conference. I got my other phone. I don't know where it's at. Shit. Can somebody find out what the other teams are in the ECFL? I know we got a team up north that's new, and then we've got the Lions, the Grizzlies. They're supposed to be in New York, I believe, and a couple other teams. So we got some new teams in the ECFL. We got the Big East, so we got a new league. I mean, yes, it's a new league, but some lots of familiar faces. The Ducks, the Silverbacks, bet that's 4. I know there's a team in Rhode Island that's a new team, right? So I think there's 5 new teams. Very interesting to see if all of these teams just stay spring or if they take the bait that's laid out by the ECFL and continue their teams into the spring. I know that last year, watching the ECFL open up the spring and then accepting the teams in and then having those teams carry their operations through to the fall or summer. I know that a lot of the teams that we watch that have a history in the ECFL, a lot of the teams that we watch take their operations from spring to summer. They played better. Yes, the Brawlers game was canceled. The Brawlers are ready to play, and I've been very quiet about what I'm doing. I put it out there that I needed a place to play. I am on the Brawlers roster, yet to really participate. Um, honestly, I've been focused on training in my job. But basically, I will be playing with the Brawlers and the Bangers as it stands today. I'm not really. Jim Harmon has, I think he has a full plate, and when it comes to his interactions with me, there might have been some miscommunication, and I don't know. But I try to stay away from Jim, so if I don't play for the Brawlers, I don't think I'll be playing in the ECFL. Period. Let's put it that way. But lots of people already have their rosters kind of locked in, but we'll see. There's a practice tomorrow in lieu of the game. So yeah, that was my first game. So we don't play till next week. makeup game May 4th. Apparently, a bunch of people are on rosters and they don't know it. Yeah, so I heard some conversations about ghost rosters and things like that. I think from what I'm hearing and what I'm seeing, this is the weirdest year in football I've ever seen. I'm not even going to call it minor leagues. I should, because I said that I'm going to promote that, and I'm never going to not. But this year, I'm going to call it semi-pro, because this has got to be the weirdest shit I've ever seen. Multiple championship contending teams have folded. Preseason, not even like make it to the first game, first couple games, and fold. Like preseason, done. We done. And from what I'm hearing is, and what I've experienced with the Falcons, is that guys are just not showing up. Guys just not showing up to nothing. Not even to, yo, let's get together and meet each other as a team and let's go bowling or shoot pool or go out to the bar. Like, yo, let's hang out. Niggas not even showing up to that. So when you say a team has a ghost roster or dudes are on a team they don't know, it's hard for me to even, like, I don't know what the fuck is about to happen this year, because from what I'm hearing, there are a handful of teams that have actually practiced as a team. They've had their whole O-line, their whole D-line, all their receivers, a quarterback, running backs, defensive backs, and linebackers. And out of that handful of teams, maybe two of them that I know of have actually done some form of special teams practice. So at this point, we've got over like 40 teams about to suit up to play football over the course of the next couple of weeks that haven't really practiced. So I don't know what the fuck is going on. I think that the Big East, with the merger of two leagues, is an absolute incredible thing. A fold fest in 2020. Yeah. I know that the merger of two leagues is an incredible thing. It pushes us forward. That's what we need. We need consolidation. So I work with finances, right? I work with people's finances. Lots of people have this idea that they should have their money kind of spread out in multiple places, so that if something goes wrong, that it only goes wrong in one place. But what it really does is it just complicates things, and it really applies a lot of stress to the system of managing yourself. And that's no different for football. Having 1,000 leagues and 1,000 teams does no one no good. It doesn't do any of us any good. And starting to consolidate leagues, and instead of having multiple leagues, having multiple conferences, is a great thing. It's a great thing. Creates stability. You can count on certain things. You can even improve those leagues. I think the Den is that same product, just in a different area, right? I think you have the consolidation of multiple different regions into one place from different leagues and different places. And I think that's why the Den works so good. I think the ECFL is very similar to that. So as far as the state of the leagues, like, the foundation is there for great football right now. We definitely have a good foundation for great football, especially in the spring. But the players, just where the fuck are the players? The Den did have teams fold. The team that folded, that was in the Den prior, I understand why they folded. And they folded for the same reason. Patterson doesn't agree with me. I think we do. And Pat, you can explain yourself and I'll explain myself. But the team that folded in the Den, a championship team, a team that, in my opinion, did everything the right way in semi-pro. They had a athletic department that put out constant promo, constant social media. They interacted and engaged with their community. They was constantly talking to their fans. They hired real legit coaches. They went out and recruited the best players that they could possibly find. They played at a really top-notch facility. They spent lots of fucking money to make that program operate at the highest level possible. And when you do all of that and it's 5 weeks out from the season and you got 12 guys at practice, the math don't add up. The math don't add up. Which one? So I'm talking about the team that was in the den that folded, which was the Herd, not the Herd. The team out of Jackson. Fuck, I'm getting old. The team out of Jackson. The fucking Elephant. Blue and Gold. I forgot what their name is. Damn, how did I forget the name right like that? My boy Juan was on the team. Juan Rodriguez. Blue and Gold team. I think did the Tide fold as well? No, yeah, the Tide did fold too. So I think the Tide folded, but the unit, yes, the unit. I could understand that. I could understand them saying, nah, we're not doing it. That's kind of the same situation with the Falcons, right? We got to a place where I know, Pat. I know that wasn't the only team. I think that the Tide folded too. Out of the teams that was there before, what was the team out of Philly that was getting smoked every game last year? I didn't confirm if they came back, but last time I checked, the Tide didn't fold. Okay, dope. Tide didn't fold. The Philadelphia, was it the Soldiers? The Philly Soldiers? But yeah, Falcons had that same situation. Falcons had a situation where we lost a lot of guys to the Lions. Some mistakes were made in the front office where things were said that probably shouldn't have been said. And there was some rollover effects from the ECFL season with players splitting off and going different places, and then players being in the same place on the same team and then splitting off. And it's hard when you have players who are also owners. It's hard when you have a bunch of guys in the same locker room, but they all have competing goals. Soldiers, Unit, Hitman, Ducks. The Hitman folding does not surprise me. The moment Dave Legree is done, whatever team that he was a part of is done. That's usually how that goes. He's such a focal point. He's such a huge factor. He's such he is the engine of the offense that when he leaves, bad things usually happen. And a fold does not surprise me, especially when a couple guys was explaining to me that team was purpose-built. So when you purpose-build a team for one goal and you don't achieve that goal and then the main guy leaves, like the whole shit falls apart. I know it's a lot more complicated than that. I know. So anybody that's in the den that's from the Philly area, from the PA area, because I know they're out in Western PA, North Jersey, I know it's a lot more complicated than just that. There's a lot more that went into the Hitman situation, but I'm not surprised at that. The Ducks folding. So we lost somebody, and that person was very pivotal to me from what I know of the Ducks. And those guys, the players also, I think, were a little disgruntled from what I'm hearing, and they were already going different places. So leaving their league to go to a different league and different environment, I'm not surprised at the Ducks folding. I'm not surprised at the Soldiers folding first of all, they had the lowest numbers of all the teams in the den last year. I watched many of the games, and their sidelines were consistently the lowest. They always looked outnumbered. The unit was the tough one. The unit was the real tough one. Players don't want to compete. They want easy chips. That's really what it seems like. The foundation of football is still here. Disagree. I think that the foundation for us to rebuild football is here. I think the foundation for us to have good football is here. I think that the aspect of the commitment and the one thing that you need is players. You have no game without players, and I don't think that the players right now are spread out enough. And Pat, you hit the nail on the head. Like, there are lots of really good football players. They're not spread out enough for really good football. All of the really good football players are all packed together in one place, whether it's one league or it's a couple teams. But we don't have a situation where we have 5 or 6 dominant football players in one place and 5 or 6 in another and 5 or 6 in another and 3 or 4 in another. And it's spread out where we've got just this really good parity in football and everybody's kind of excited to play against each other and shit, this is a good year for us and we win in, or shit, this is a bad year, we didn't get it right, let's figure it out next year. We don't have that. We got, we winning a chip this year because we fucking loaded. Then we win a chip, and then the very next year, it's like, all right, I'm out. Or the very next year, it's like, well, I didn't like this dude anyway. Yeah, I didn't like him either. All right, fuck it, we out. And now the team is folding because half the dudes secretly didn't like or openly didn't like a coach or another player or something like. And then that entire half of the team goes to another team that's already well established. Like, yo, let's just go join the team that's about to win anyway. And of course, I mean, if we remove everything else economically speaking, it just makes sense to take on as much as you can. So if a guy is willing to bring 10 or 15 other guys that are all willing to pay their dues, I mean, economically speaking, why say no? But then also football-wise, why not load up my talent? What's there to stop me? Why not put together a super team? What's there to stop me? Why wouldn't I? So I think we have the big league in the North, the super North, right? Mass, Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Connecticut is all covered by the ECFL. You got the metro area and part of the North with the Big East. You have a nice crossover, a nice flow where you can have some football down in Brooklyn. You can also have some football all the way up in Mass. But then with the Den, you have the coverage of more of the South. You got Philly, Jersey, New York City. You used to have Western PA. I don't think there's a team out in Western PA anymore. But I think there's also a team in Maryland this year in the Den. So you got a nice coverage there. So, like, the ability to have preseason crossover games with familiar faces and familiar names that have real impact, the ability to have good football across large geographical areas where you can have diversity and lots of diverse teams, but also they're close enough to have really good rivalries, the ability to have leagues that function like real leagues that we're familiar with. You can even have diversity in the leagues, like the Big East could operate like a college conference and just have the 2 best teams play each other. The Den could operate like the NFL and spread out and have multiple conferences, or the ECFL actually could act like that, while the Den probably acts more like what we're used to. 2 sides, they play each other, and then you find a chip like that. Baltimore, correct me, sorry, thank you, Baltimore. So I think you have the ability right now with the way that the leagues are, at least in the spring, you have this framework for really good football. but the fucking execution is terrible. The execution's terrible. And I don't know where to point the finger, because last year I said it was the owners and the league owners and the team owners, right? Last year, all year long, I said the team owners got to care more and invest more. The league owners have to do more. They don't have conferences in the den. They could and they should. They're down to 10 teams. They should split the conferences into 2 5-team conferences, and then if you're in the South, you play the South. If you're in the North, you play the North. Every team plays 1 or 2 crossover games and call it a wrap. But, so Pat, you saying that, right? You saying that they're down to 10 teams with no conference. All 10 teams play each other because it's a 10-game season. That is how college conferences usually function. All 10 teams play each other. They have divisions, but even in their divisions, they almost always play every team except for maybe 1 or 2. And then at the end, the 2 best teams play each other. They got rid of the conferences when teams folded. Makes sense. I think that the framework is there. The execution's terrible, and I blame the team owners last year and the league owners. And I feel like everybody heard me, and everybody talked among themselves, and the league owners came up with good ideas, and they tried to improve their products. For the exception of the ECFL, I feel like it's pretty much the same ECFL it's always been. I don't really see any change or any difference. Not to say that ECFL wasn't a good product. I think there's lots of places where it could be better. Lots of places where the ECFL could be better. But I don't even think they're trying to make it better. But I know in the South, as far as the Den and the Big East, lots of work put in to make it better. The teams now are the problem, and from what I'm hearing, it's not the team owners. I mean, yeah, the team owners could probably be better and the teams could be better, but it would be a fucking waste of time and a waste of money. ECFL had folded. ECFL always has folding teams. I am convinced, and Jim will not like me for saying this, but I'm convinced that teams folding is a part of the business fucking model, is a part of the business model of the ECFL. I feel like like there's just no way. Like they don't even try to make sure teams don't fold. It is very much the factory of teams. Like if you can survive, then survive. If you can't, doesn't matter. You gave me more money. You know, so I'm sure that teams folding is factored into the ECFL's business model. That will always be the case. I was surprised at the Den having teams fold. I was surprised at the unit folding. I was surprised that the Soldiers folded and didn't become a different team. I was almost convinced that the Soldiers would fold, but the base of that team would become a different team. And that's not what happened. I guess there's enough places for those players to go that wasn't a necessity. But I feel like the pride that you take when you enter the Den would have motivated them to kind of go do their own thing. So worried about me that he lets everyone in and takes everyone's money and then magically takes them off the website and pretends like it didn't happen. Yeah, I mean, and the ECFL is so well known for that nobody bats an eye, bro. Like you could bank on at least 3 teams folding in any ECFL season. It doesn't matter. And I was actually pleasantly surprised last year in the summer that a lot of, I think all except for one of the ECFL single A teams made it to the end of the season, which was a huge improvement because usually single A, they lose 3 teams, like 1 right off the rip and 2 during the season, right? Wonder what happens if they get rid of single A and teams have to compete. The honest truth, Pat, if they got rid of single A in the ECFL, the football would be much better, but a lot of the teams that have big names that are considered super dominant teams would not dominate anymore. You wouldn't have so many big names. I think you also would have less entrants. So you would have less of these small teams popping up in the ECFL because you can pop up in the ECFL and join in because there's a single A. There's a place you can go where you probably gonna get smoked a couple times by some really good teams, but the rest of the time you probably gonna be able to compete. And if that wasn't there and everyone had to compete, you would have less teams. So you probably fold out 6 or 7 teams right out the gate. 6 or 7 teams going right out the gate. But those players then would go to other teams. And a lot of those players aren't going to play on other teams, but the teams would get bigger. There would be more stability. And the honest truth is a lot of those other players would probably fall out to other leagues. And you might actually just see another league pop up in Connecticut somewhere if there was enough pent-up demand for single A football. But the honest truth is that's what the ECFL should do. They should get rid of single A and let another single A league create itself and just become the premier league in the super north, right? But like I said, I feel like they factor in folding teams to their business model, and they would probably just start another league. Yeah, I agree. They would definitely start another league. If there was enough pent-up demand, another league. The honest truth is, even with the ECFL, there's enough pent-up demand that they could start another league in Connecticut, Mass, and Rhode Island. Connecticut, Mass, Rhode Island definitely could have its own league. But the honest truth is, if they did that, they probably should merge into the Big East. Like, that's why I like the idea of the Big East so much. Like, there's enough demand that they should. A lot of the teams that are in the ECFL should be in like the Big East, and the Big East should continue through. And I know, Pat, this probably is not something that you would want to do, but we need a Big East in the summer. We really need a Big East in the summer. Yeah, the NEFL. So for me, in my opinion, the NFL was the Premier League. The ECFL found a way to take the NEFL's best teams. I did not know this. I'm learning this. It was able to take the NEFL's best teams, and that created the ECFL we know today. And now the NEFL is the single A version. Even though they have a double A, their double A teams can't play with some of the single A teams. Their best double A teams would get beat the fuck up by some of the single A teams in the ECFL. The system in the ECFL is bad. It's not regulated properly. They're teams that are, I mean, fundamentally they are double A teams. They have the finances, they have the operations, they have the players, they have the facilities, they have the uniforms, they have everything that would qualify them to be a double A team, right? They have the talent, but they're playing single A. And I mean, you have that at every level. You have some single A teams that should be double A. You got some double A teams that should be triple A. You got some triple A teams that should be double A. It's just a mess. It's a total mess because it's not regulated. It's regulated when it wants to be. Like, he picks and chooses when it's regulated. And I hate to say that the one thing that I will take from Jim on my conversations with him is that he is not the end all. He is the face, but he is not the guy that makes every decision. A lot of the decisions he doesn't make. A lot of the decisions are made by a board of people that we don't know, that we don't see. Some of these people on the board, they're not even associated with teams. Some are, but some aren't. Some are just they're stakeholders in some way, but they're not direct stakeholders in the product that goes on the field. Yeah. There are teams that hide in single A. The Thundercats was one of them. The Thundercats was a triple A team that made the playoffs and actually was competitive. And then because they had some roster movement, they felt like they was a single A team, but they weren't. They were a double A team, and they hid in single A for so long that they ruined themselves hiding in single A because enough single A teams in their area began to pop up that it ended up taking so much from them that they weren't able to recover and they started losing talent. Um, and the same thing happened with the Flyers. The Flyers, my first year up here, playing up here in the ECFL, the Flyers were a double A team. They were a terrible double A team. We were in like week 7 or week 8, and they had 0 wins. They were getting smoked. Played us, the Tar Heels, who was a single A team, and we at the time were a legit single A team. We were just a good one. We had many, many missing pieces. Like our O-line had 3 guys that never played O-line before, and they were the size of fucking small linebackers, and they were playing like guard and shit. Like we had maybe 2 receivers that we could really count on to catch the ball. The rest of the guys are kind of trying to figure it out. We had a quarterback who most of the time was playing softball and only played with us for like 30% of the season. We had a backup quarterback. Like it was a single A team. We were just pretty talented. And we beat the fuck out of the Flyers. Like we beat them bad. And Divine played that game, and that was the only game of the whole season that Divine played quarterback. So you're a double A team getting beat by a single A team that has a quarterback that only played 1 game. That tells you how bad the team was. Then they revamp the entire team. They go to a different city, everything. They load the roster up, and they go out and they beat the fuck out of everybody. And somehow they go to Double A National Championship, and they win by 50. And now you would think that a team that goes undefeated, wins their league championship, goes to Double A Nationals, and wins by 50 points. You would think that same team would then have to go Double A, right? Nope. They're going single A. Again, tell me that shit makes any lick of sense. Explain to me how that shit makes any lick of sense. You're a single A team that won the Double A National Championship by 50 points, and the next year you going back to single A? That don't make a lick of sense. I don't care what happens to your roster. There is no possible way that you should be allowed to go back to single A. No possible way that you should be allowed. That shit should be a fucking breach of contract. I don't get that one. But that is the problem of the ECFL. The honest truth is that's the bigger problem. Like that's the bigger problem is that there's like no fucking system. So the Falcons folded, and I put in maybe 25, 24 hours of like hard training, right? From the end of October until the end of March, I'm putting in like 24 hours a week of training to be as good as I possibly can, right? To try to get myself back into shape. I do it more so for my physical health. COVID, I got really fat and I got really out of shape. I lost my flexibility and everything, right? I got really down, and I use football to kind of motivate myself to get back in shape. And I played at a high level, so I know how to work out at a high level. But I feel like after spending so many hours working so hard and seeing my progress, I don't then want to go out and play single A ball with some high school kids or some older guys that are just kind of playing football to have fun. Like that shit ain't fair. Like I'm in a gym throwing a weight, like training hard, and then I have a good background in football, and then I'm gonna go out and I'm just gonna dominate against a bunch of dudes that really are here just to have fun. They're not really trying to win nothing. But when I announced it, there was no system for me to go to be like, all right, I'm this level of player. What teams are available and what teams have places for me and who's in my area? I kind of had to just be like, yo, I'm available. Who's out there? You know what I'm saying? And for me, like the lack of structure is a big problem because I think it's a part of the reason why teams fold. Like there's no structure for the teams to fall back on when things go wrong. There's no structure for the players to fall back on when things go wrong. There's no structure for the referees to voice their frustrations or be a part of a bigger system when things go wrong. Shit. There's no place for leagues to fall back on when things go wrong. And I think it's the wild, wild west outlaw, just survive if you can survive nature that creates this high turnover ratio that we have in semi-pro. And the honest truth is, like, a players association, the goal of a players association should not be to create, ranking systems for teams and for players. The goal of a players association should be to create a fair playing environment, to keep players safe, to give players a place where they can get things done. Like, they can get insurance if they need to. They can get placed on a team if they need to. They can negotiate if they need to. They can get representation if they need to. Some players get into situations with their coaches and other teammates, and they get thrown off a team, and you find out what the situation was, and he was like, yo, that's not fucking fair. Like, damn, nobody heard your side of the story. That's kind of the point of what a players association should be. It shouldn't be to rank a player number 5 overall in the country and be like, oh yeah, we got the best players. Like, if you want to do marketing and you want to do media, go join the media team. You into the hype beast shit, like you want to hype everything up, join the media team. There's a real need for foundation that we don't have. I can talk about it right now in my particular place in life. I can't do nothing about it. Sucks. I guess my hope is that if we chat enough, that somebody who does have the bandwidth and the availability will get out there and will be like, all right, I'm gonna take responsibility for this. I'm gonna put it all together and I'm gonna do it the right way. But it takes a collective. Like, we all kind of gotta be a part of it. That's the crazy. Like, I think the place that we go wrong a lot of times is one dude will be like, yo, I'm gonna make a team and I'm gonna do it the right way. And then they make a team and they put together this team, but you got to remember that the team is not you or your vision. The team is the guys that you put together. So you might have a vision of doing things the right way, but the guy joining your team might only have the vision of winning a ring. As soon as he wins that ring, he's out of there. And if you get enough of those guys in your roster, you win a ring, and the next year you lose 40% of your roster. And it's like, damn, should we even keep it going? And you end up with all these different situations and guys still guys. So my point is that everybody really needs to be on the same page, and it's not a one-man job. It's like an every-man job, to be honest. And that's true for what we're going through right now. Like, the whole system of football would be better if everybody just decides to start going to practice. Real shit. Real shit. Real shit. If all the players just decided, every single one of us, we all gonna start going to practice, the whole system would be a lot better. The football games would be better. The teams would be better. Everything would be better. But that's just where we at. So I ain't gonna talk too much more about that. I tell you what, it's top of the hour. I'm tired. Had a long day. I actually was running stadium stairs before we did this. So I'm gonna wrap it up with next week, next Friday. We're probably gonna do Fridays. We'll probably do them at the same time. But next Friday in particular, I have an event for work, so I'm not gonna be able to do Friday. We'll probably pre-record and then post it. But I'll probably put out a post and see what everybody says, if they like that idea, if they like, the conversation. But next Friday is definitely a no-go for me. So either we're gonna skip a week or do a different day or something. But gonna try to get Mike in-house, so he'd be sitting in here with me in the room. We have a drink or something, crack a beer, and chop it up. I will do my best to get a ranking system out. I kind of just didn't hold up my end of the bargain this year. My fault. Got too busy. with life. But I'll definitely try to put out a ranking system. But it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be difficult because a lot of things change. A lot of teams changed. A lot of players have changed places, and it's kind of hard to rank everything. We lost a lot of teams, so. But all right, just look out for the post. It'll probably be Thursday, but we'll see. All right, I appreciate everybody for coming out. I appreciate the conversation. That's for sure. Tonight was fun. This is kind of how it's going to be going forward, at least for season 3. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to do all of the flashy, pictures and videos and all that stuff. We'll get that down the road. For right now, we're just going to have conversations. We're just going to talk football and talk life and shit, and have some fun. All right. So see everybody out there tomorrow. Good luck to all the teams in the ECFL. Good luck to all the football players across the country that are going to be getting it in over the weekend. Good luck to all y'all. And I'll see y'all soon. See y'all at the 50. Peace.